Okay, Broken Tee Society. We're here at Old Marsh Golf Club, 10,000 square feet, putting green, ideal condition, 9 holes cut here so you can have all kinds of putting contests. But we're going to talk about this word, the process. You're hearing a lot of players talk about the process. You're hearing Titleist in their ad campaign this year for the golf ball, players talking about process. What is process? How can process help you? I'm going to start with a little story. I used to play in the Fred Meyer Challenge out in Portland, Oregon. Peter Jacobson hosted this great event. It was a 2-day, 2-man best ball format. I was lucky enough to win the tournament a couple times with Greg Norman and 3 times with Billy Andrade, another Rhode Islander and Titleist staff guy. On the second day, on the first hole, Billy Andrade had about an 11-footer for a birdie on this pretty simple par 5. I had already made a 5, and I was always a good team partner because I made a lot of birdies. Thought I had a good attitude. And Billy on this particular putt missed this uphill right to lefter, and he slapped his leg and he said, dang it, that putt was such an easy putt for birdie. And that said something to me. I think if you want to be a very good putter, if you want to be an excellent putter, if you want to improve your putting, you don't need to evaluate the importance, the difficulty of a putt. You don't need to decide, well, this is a putt I need to make. You don't need to decide that this is a harder putt because it's downhill and left to right. Every putt, if you can match the speed in the line, has a chance to go in. The more you can downplay the importance of the putt that you're about to hit, the better chance you'll have to make that. So the process involves way more than that, but I think that story is important. If you're out here on this putting green like we are, and I have this putt from 8 or 9 feet, it's slightly up the hill, it might break a tad to the left. I can work on my process. I spent a lot of time with Bob Rotella as a young player as I was trying to get better. A lot of people say, you're lucky, Brad, you were born a great putter. And I'm like, no, I worked so hard to become a better putter. And I did it by improving my stroke a little bit at a time. And I did it by improving my mindset a little bit at a time. I was proud as I got older into my 30s that I became a better putter. So you don't have to be born with it. You just have to work on the right stuff. So the process, Bob Rotella and I would come to a putt about this length and we would call it the 9-ball drill. I don't even like the word drill because the connotation of drill is dentist and hurts and not fun. But I would call it an exercise or a game. We tried to hit 9 putts in a row and get looser, freer, cockier was a word Bob used, from the 1st to the 9th. And then you would find the level of when you were the best and say, I'm going to bring that to the green. So if 1 was trying the hardest, taking the longest, carrying the most, 9 was the opposite. And at what point do you feel like you had the most chance to make those most putts? And I was always closer to an 8 or a 9 in that freedom category. That became my process. If you decided to be, say, situational and say, you know, I'm 1 shot back, this is more important, you could get in trouble. I've asked all the best players in the world, do you putt your putts for birdie better or your putts from par better from the same distance? Invariably, the players say, I always putt putts for par better. And I'm going, well, why? It's a good question, right? Because the ball doesn't know, the putter doesn't know. Players almost unanimously say, I'm more decisive, I'm more committed to do that. When they have a birdie putt, a lot of times they'll say, well, I don't want a 3-putt. I can afford to miss it because I'll still have a par. That's not a mindset that you want to put into your process. Process involves your routine as well, and your routine would be everything from once the ball gets on the green, putting that putter in your hand as you walk up to the green, glove off in your pocket if you like to putt without a glove, starting to read the green when you walk up there and thinking about where the ball is going to break. Remember, green reading, starting the ball on line, hitting at the right distance is all part of the process. And that's what's going to make you a better putter when you can be much more consistent with your process on every putt from every distance in every situation. That's going to help you make more putts. Here it is, the 9-ball drill. Talked about this earlier and how this can help you to be a better putter. This is something I did with Bob Rotella in our video that we did in the early 90s called Putt to Win. We did it at Rhode Island Country Club on the 17th green, and it was kind of a windier day, and it really proved to me how this can be helpful, because early in the spring the greens weren't like they usually are, but we were on about a 9-footer, 9 putts, and the concept or the idea behind this is I'm going to get looser and freer from the first putt I hit to the 9th. As you get over it and start to go and looser and freer, what does that mean? To me, it's looking at the hole, back to the ball, the putter's gone. And sometimes the putter's gone before I even get my eyes back to the ball. So there's looking at the hole, there's the start of the stroke. Now, I wasn't trying to judge whether the ball went in the hole or not. I was just trying to see how loose could I get. So by the 9th, that was going to be the loosest and the freest I felt when I was putting. So I wasn't allowed to judge how I hit the putt, whether it went in or not. It was just really trying to get that nice feeling inside that you want to have when you're getting up and you're as confident as you can be. So I kept doing that. And this particular day at Rhode Island Country Club, in the 9 putts that I hit, I made 7 of them. And we know from PGA Tour stats that 8 feet is that number of 50-50. And as I got looser and freer and continue to do this, my putting from this distance really improved. I like it to try and make sure that as you go from the first putt to the 9th putt, they're getting looser and freer. I have this image of Bob Rotella actually squatting down behind the hole and feeding me the balls back after every putt. And oftentimes when I was on the course playing a tournament, I would imagine I was sitting here that I was putting to Bob Rotella's hand sitting in the back of the cup. The 9-ball drill will help you become a better putter.